roll the clay, you make it into a ball. So you make it into a ball, right?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our second now annual Community Choral Appreciation Day. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Andrei. I created Students for Choral Preservation. Thank you. And I want to take a second to kind of discuss how this all started. It started roughly 3-4 years ago when I first moved to Miami, and I was able to go scuba diving. Thanks to Divers Paradise. A particularly sweltering August day, I decided to get as far from the heat as possible and go underwater. And I got glimpses of huge boulders and schools of fish, and it motivated me. From there, I took it to my school. I realized that in my school, not that many people were talking about the issue of coral restoration, or the issue of coral as a whole. Coral is vital to our communities, as these lovely panelists will share all about in a few minutes. And that's where it grew. I marched into my biology teacher's classroom and I was like, we have to do something about this. And I had my last day of school today. And it's really bittersweet because I feel like it's really a character arc completing here. Last year at our Community Choral Appreciation Day, I was actually the first time I met Kai. And it was a much smaller event, but I think being able to see the real impact that Students for Choral has had in that time frame has been really meaningful to me. Seeing all of these people here from the community, from schools, interested in learning about what we do and how to keep, choral in the minds of the youth. From advocacy events and from all this, I'm incredibly proud of the work of everyone that has helped. I'm incredibly thankful to you, Kai, and I'm incredibly thankful to everyone that has helped Students for Choral so far. I'm a bit all over the place, but I'm just really proud. And it's really exciting for me to see such a full room here. And it really gives me hope for the future of choral restoration. It gives me hope for the future leaders in our communities who will be at least knowledgeable and who will be excited about preserving our environment. And yeah, that's what I have to say. Thank you all for coming. You guys have made my high school journey and my life incredibly special. Thank you, Kai, so much for putting this together. I'm absolutely stunned with how this event looks. And yeah, thank you all. Now I'm going to pass it over to Roland, the Chief Resilience Officer at Key Biscayne, to talk a little bit more about what's going on in Key Biscayne. Thank you, guys.
To give you and the students here give us a lot of hope as well. I mean, you're the next generation. You're like the next army of people that are going to be going out there and doing their part to make things better. So kudos to you and kudos to all of you students. Like Andrei said, I'm the Chief Resilience Officer for the Village of Key Biscayne. I'm mainly charged working with a bunch of other people to get the Resilience and Infrastructure Adaptation Program off and running for the island of Key Biscayne, for the Village of Key Biscayne, to kind of maintain our quality of life. It's a complex program, it's an infrastructure program, but it's also got a very, very strong shoreline protection component. And one thing I'd like people to really walk away from this is even though coral reefs are very amazing ecological systems and provide all sorts of incredible ecological service, they're also a first line of defense. And nature's really good at putting up lines of defense, and coral reefs are absolutely critical to wave dampening and then shoreline protection. Without that coral reef, the wave energy comes in unabated, attacks the beach berm itself, which is the next line of defense, eats that up, then attacks the next line of defense, which are the dunes, eats that up, and then you start having the damages to property, safety, security, and community. So the protection of coral reefs, especially in the context of climate change, heating surface temperatures of the global ocean acidification, becomes absolutely critical to protect. And that's what you guys are all about. Not everybody can get in the water and see for themselves how amazing these systems are. Some of us have that privilege and that benefit, and it's incumbent on all of us to go out and share and teach and educate to get other people fired up and motivated to protect these systems. I want to also acknowledge our mayor, who was thoughtful enough to declare May 1st Coral Appreciation Day. I think it's important because it forces people to recognize and take note of an important thing that deserves attention and protection. I also want to acknowledge Mike Davey, former mayor, responsible for bringing me into the village. I appreciate that for the most part. At times, sometimes I feel like taking you to the woodshed, even though I get taken to the woodshed all the time. But yeah, I mean, we're happy to host you all. We're happy to be having you in our house. This is a fantastic event. Andrei, you've done a tremendous job. All your co-students are doing an amazing job, and just keep fighting the fight and don't give up. The second you give up, it's all over. So, Kai, take it away. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Roland, for those kind words. So my story starts off at Students for Coral for Preservation a year ago, probably around the same day, and it was Coral Appreciation Day, and the room was a lot smaller, but it really makes me proud to see that Andrei and me, we've done a great job transitioning everything, and it's just this room has probably doubled in size, and it's just pretty amazing to see. And I just wanted to thank everybody for coming out today. And thank you to our panelists for coming out today. And thank you for Juliana and Andrei for also coming out today. And Pat, I know you're back there on a FaceTime somewhere. Thank you so much for everything that you've ever done and all the opportunities that everybody's given me. And Andrei, it's pretty amazing to see how everything has grown so far. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, everybody who came tonight. It's pretty amazing. I'd like to introduce our panelists. So this is my first time moderating, so please be gentle, guys. Sorry. This is Lucy Dunbar, Patty America's Field Services Manager for the Eastern and US and Canada. Brandi Reddick, which is the Reef Line Executive Director. Colin Foord, who's Coral Morphologics co-founder. Juliana Grilo, which is Philip and Patricia Frost Museum of Science Conservation Program Manager. And then Devon Ledbetter, Rescue of Reefs, Rosenstiel School Program Manager. And I just want to say thank you for coming out today. It's been pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Lucy, Patty's youth program span from the younger generation, I think it's 8 years old, all the way up to however old you want to be. How does it feel to be like a part of that journey from the younger generation all the way up to the older generation?
Well, it's really exciting. I'm thrilled to say that I get to play in that field in my job at Patty. So I'm involved with everything to do with renewing and refreshing the SEAL team program, which we have for little kids in the swimming pool, all the way up to now we actually have a junior dive master program where kids who are 15 to 17 can start their journey and start learning about the professional ranks of diving. And seeing and talking to some of the young people here today, it's really sort of gratifying, and I think really affirms how important it is to work with a lot of the young people to bring them into those professional levels and understanding, how to comport themselves and how to, carry out some of these roles. And it's exciting to see what you're doing, not only with the boondoggle of going diving, but also with the, learning to share that, taking it into policy and that kind of thing. So, for anybody here who doesn't dive, I think the most famous scuba diver in the world is probably known to all of us, Jacques Cousteau, right? And he very famously said, "You protect what you love." And so we at Patty firmly believe that encouraging young people in to experience the wonder of scuba diving from a very, very young age and starting out, developing that passion and sharing that passion with others in their schools, with their parents. We have kids that actually drag the rest of the family into diving. Kids are some of the most wonderful and biggest advocates for the ocean. And so that's why we believe they're so important. And we invest in having really solid youth diving programs in our scuba training system.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lucy. Brandi, the Reef Line has been such an amazing part of marine infrastructure for Miami. It's pretty stunning. Personally haven't gone and seen it myself, but I think that's going to be my next dive trip, and it should be our next dive trip. How do you see like students getting involved with that, citizen science kids getting involved with that?
Sure. So I hope you visit Reefline, and I hope you take a trip with Michael Casey in Divers Paradise, who is our dive operator. But what I really love about Reefline is its accessibility. You actually don't need a boat to go there. It's 850 feet off of shore, and you can swim, paddleboard out, and simply snorkel the site. So that's one thing I really love is accessibility, because you don't need to pay for the boat to get out there. Speaking of accessibility, joined here by our Director of Science. Colin is not only the co-founder of Core Morphologic, but also Director of Science for Reefline. So some of our speaking points may overlap a little bit, but 80% of the children in Miami-Dade County have never been to the beach, much less swim in the ocean. So at Reefline, and you said it perfectly, you protect what you know. So our job is to get education, marine conservation, ocean conservation into the classroom. So we've partnered with a fabulous nonprofit organization called Dream and Green, where Reefline is a case study where students learn about things like water temperature and how that affects corals, coral bleaching, and they're studying it through the Reefline. So this year we were in 125 schools and reached 10,000 students. And we also partner with universities. We have a partnership with the Harvard Graduate School of Design. We work with Diego Learman in the Learman Lab and Rescue Reef at University of Miami. And we've recently formed a partnership with MIT through their materials lab because we're looking at new materials to use for coral reef making. And all that being said, and Colin will probably elaborate on this a little bit more, we deployed our first deployment in October of this year with 22 cars. It's called Order of Importance by a wonderful contemporary artist named Leandro Ulrich. And the cars are shaped perfectly for a coral reef. So we have 2,200 corals that need to be outplanted. And we're going to lead citizen science expeditions to help us outplant those 2,200 corals in phase 1 and hopefully up the coast for the rest of the reef line.
Awesome, thank you so much. I hope to be a part of that. That sounds pretty cool. Colin, we all know about the Coral City camera. I know my family watched it during quarantine. It's a big thing, a part of my family. We're like the calendar collectors over here. So, how do you feel like seeing that, like this Coral City camera that you've gave it access to probably everybody over the internet, everybody worldwide, and then just even in our back, like it's just knowing that like it's in our backyards. It's pretty amazing. Please tell me more about it.
The Coral City camera is an underwater live streaming camera for people that don't know, located at the east end of Port Miami, and we have now been running for 6 years. We're the second longest running live stream on YouTube and the longest underwater live stream that has ever existed. And I knew we were going to see some amazing things there. We got it in the water a month before the pandemic shut down. What really surprised me about that was the community that it developed around this camera. People from all around the world are watching, and it made me realize that corals are community builders themselves, and healthy coral reefs provide the homes for most of the marine life in the ocean at some point in their lives. And so to see this sort of mirrored in the fact that something that didn't exist that suddenly now drew attention to the fact that Miami has a beautiful coral reef ecosystem right along its shoreline, which I think even for a lot of people locally was maybe a bit of a surprise. And I knew we were going to see some amazing things, and I've been nothing but blown away and exceeded all of my expectations. So if you take a look now at the Coral City camera, you're going to see a thicket of endangered staghorn corals that I couldn't even possibly have ever imagined would be able to live there. So our motto for the Coral City camera is civic pride through biodiversity. And we want people, especially in Miami, and kids in Miami, to realize that what we have in our own backyard is really special, that not everyone gets to live and go to school in a school district that has megafauna just swimming around. We have manatees, we have sharks, we have sea turtles. And that, to the point of, we protect what we love. And I think that the Coral City Camera, by building those relationships, before kids can even learn how to scuba dive, kindergartners, all the way, and of course people, senior citizens that have limited mobility, to be able to have access to that through technology is probably the most gratifying thing that I've ever done with my life, and I take it very seriously because we have to reach everyone in the community, and we need people, especially locally, to understand just how important the health of our marine environment is, because that is our economy in Miami. People are not going to come here if the water is green and stinking of dead fish. And so, when people fall in love with the Coral City Camera, and I love the fact that your family's been watching it all these years, I think that really makes everybody that much more committed to the health of Biscayne Bay and our Florida Reach Act.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Colin. Juliana, we all know about the Frost Science Museum. We've all grown up there. But I was unaware of the youth programs that you guys have there, and it seems pretty amazing ever since I've learned about them. Could you please share more about your guys' youth programs and how it ties into students in the Miami community?
So I am the conservation program manager at Frost, which is really cool because I get a look into all these programs that we're doing outside of the museum, and I think there's a lot of value in the museum and bringing the ocean to people, but now we have the opportunity to actually bring people out into the environment, which is really cool. And my favorite program that I get to manage is the Your Shores program. It's really cool, especially being here today because we have so many of our partners for the program here with us, like Divers Paradise, Coral Morphologic, Rescue Reef, and we're planning to bring the students out to the reef line soon. So it's really cool, all of this. But the Your Shores program is a program for students that are all from low-income communities in Miami and schools that have very limited STEM funding. So we provide an opportunity for the students where they have to apply, but they get paid to be in the program, they get scuba certified, and then they dedicate every Saturday of their school year to coming out with us. And we rotate through different ecosystems. They learn about mangroves, they learn about seagrass, they learn about corals and dunes. And I think it really, to bring it back to this quote that everyone's been bringing up, that you protect what you love, is that some of these students didn't know how to swim before they got into this program. We got them swimming lessons, and they just really had no idea what beautiful ecosystems that we had here in South Florida. And it's been so gratifying hearing from these students that their biggest takeaway is that now they go out and they tell their friends and their family about all these cool things that they have to do, and they convince their friends not to litter because there's all these things that they're learning about the impact that they have. So being a part of that program is it's so gratifying. It's such an awesome program.
Thank you so much. Now, Devon, the Rescue Reef program, it's pretty amazing, and if I ever make it to University of Miami, I'd love to be a part of it. But how does it tie in with the Miami community, and how can everybody get access to it if they don't go to University of Miami, or if they do go to University of Miami? It's pretty interesting how it all ties together.
So the Rescue Reef program was essentially founded on the belief that these coral reef ecosystems are incredibly valuable. And they hold value even if it's unrealized. And for us, all coastal residents living here in Miami, we reap a lot of those benefits directly. It can be things like the resilience manager talked about with shoreline protection, where corals are our first line of defense against incoming storms and wave energy. It can be our local economy, like Colin mentioned. Coral reefs will generate over $6.3 billion a year in reef-related activity income for the state of Florida, which is a pretty big number when you think about an underwater ecosystem contributing directly that much to our local economy. Additionally, if anyone is a seafood fan, I'll give you one guess as to where your fish lived before it hit your plate, but these reef ecosystems are incredibly valuable. And as coastal residents here in Miami, we should be incredibly aware of all of these good services that they provide for us. But these reef ecosystems in the last several decades have been facing unprecedented levels of decline. Local stressors like coastal development or pollution have impact on them, but also global stressors like global warming, coral bleaching, ocean acidification. All of these individual threats have really been compounding on our reefs, particularly here in Florida. Rescue a Reef was designed to harness the power of the public in reef restoration. So while I am a coral scientist by day, the main part of our program is that we offer the opportunity to get involved in coral restoration to anyone who can join us on the boat. Now, there are limitations. You do have to be 18 because we fall under the University of Miami. But the idea was creating a community-based coral restoration program where the hands planting the corals that go on our coastlines and sit on our reefs were planted by people where that's their backyard. The hope is that by giving people the opportunity to have their hands on our reefs in coral restoration, it leaves a more lasting personal impact. If you've ever learned about something in a classroom setting, it's a whole lot more disjointed and removed than when you're actually able to go out and get involved in it. And that was really the thread that pulled together the organization, was wanting to extend the opportunity to be involved and have a direct impact in coral restoration to the communities that are going to feel it the most, like us here in Miami. So Rescue Reef's main goal is to do that. We host coral restoration expeditions, typically most in the summer, but we're diving year-round, where we offer these opportunities for people to join us on the water. You don't have to be scuba certified. We take snorkelers as well, and anyone can join us. We take sign-ups through our email list, and we host these expeditions regularly, like we said, with that main goal of giving everyone the chance to experience the ocean and coral restoration firsthand. I will end it with the same quote that everybody has been wrapping it up with where you protect what you love, but you don't really love something until you know about it, which is why organizations like Rescue a Reef and a lot of the ones sitting here today that are represented are focused so much on education and awareness. Because before you can love something, which is the first step to protecting it, you have to know about it, and you have to know that it is threatened. So raising awareness about these issues and then giving people the opportunity to be a part of the solution is really cornerstone in our organizational structure.
Thank you so much. So that wraps up our panel, but I'd like to take any questions from the audience if you guys have any.
So as far as what we're looking at to come, what can we expect for you guys? Because you're doing amazing work. We're just wondering what that next, what the projection is for the ongoing projects.
Thank you, Michael. Well, the long-term vision is the 7-mile coast of Miami Beach. It's a 10-year master plan that will take about $48 million to complete, of which we've already raised $40 million of that. So the dream is to stretch up the coast of Miami Beach, but what's to come very soon is we're about to start fabrication on our second deployment, which is Heart of Okeanos. It's on Blue Whale Heart by a British artist named Petrox Sesti, and we'll be deploying that later this year. And we've actually decided to anchor the reef line. So we are deploying south right now. We're between 4th and 5th Street on Miami Beach. And we're permitting a new area up in North Beach between 74th and 76th Street. And in that area, we'll have the Miami Reef Star by Miami artist Carlos Betancourt and Alberto Latour. We're actually going through a very exciting artist selection process right now for that second commission that will go in that area. And we actually had an artist workshop today, and we're down to 3 finalists. We did an international call to artists, and we're down to 3 finalists, and that winner will be selected in later June. And both those deployments, the call to artists and the Miami Reef Star, will happen in 2027. So that's the long-term and immediate plans for Reefline.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you so much. Do we have any other questions from the audience? Okay, so then we can wrap up. Guys, please explore the tables outside. It's been a pleasure being the moderator here. Thank you guys so much for coming. Thank you to our panelists for coming.
Seek adventure, save the ocean. I'm working with air dry clay, so they should dry by tomorrow or the day after. And yeah, we use them to spread awareness, and all of the funds from her go to coral preservation fundraising.